Hello, my name is Nicholas Dickey, and today I'm starting to record a series of tutorial videos that will take you from creating from zero all the way to a full SaaS application running inside ChatGPT, running inside this chat basically. On October 6th, OpenAI during its developer day released the apps SDK and an agent kit, and it allows us to publish applications. Right now, it's only working in a preview mode, in this developer mode inside ChatGPT, but it's coming soon to the market. They will release the ChatGPT App Store. So we can now build these apps with their own UIs running inside ChatGPT, and it's very important. It implements the MCP-UI specification using the Skybridge protocol for those HTML widgets that are running inside the chat, or they call it OpenAI-MCP protocol, whatever. My goal is to be able to show you how to build this application as a SaaS with Stripe integration, with um, subscription plans, with users, etc., using what I call vibe engineering. Basically, it's a step up from vibe coding, applying engineering principles to either using no-code tools or using code agents. We will be using uh, Cursor code agent during this series. The applications that we will be developing is called ChatVault. It's a very simple application that allows ChatGPT to save chats and then to search chats, retrieve them, and for the end user to be able to browser saved chats, just like um, Chrome, for example, history browser, like you can browse your sessions saved in history. This way we'll be able to browse the saved chats uh, inside this application. Will be connected to a database on the backend. Uh, the series will be structured like this. Part one, today, we are looking at creating uh, the application that is limited to the widget that we want to create for browsing chats, mostly the widget, and with basically fake backends, hard-coded chats there. Our goal is to create this widget to integrate it with ChatGPT it, as a separate MCP server, basically. And the second part will deal with creating a backend. So it is um, backend only without widget, using either vibe coding with a cursor or popular automation platforms like N8N, Make, or even Zapier combined with the Kit agent or OpenAI agent from the agent kit that will do the orchestration, because Zapier doesn't allow you to orchestrate when creating an MCP server. It just exposes its integrations directly, and that's it. So we will use an external orchestrator, the agent, to actually uh, wire the logic for this backend. So the second part will have basically 4 videos for different environments, and the third part will be about putting it all together uh, and turning it into the SaaS application. Again, Stripe, user management, everything. And the fourth video will be sort of a bonus video, how to take this to production, how to productize your application, how to create continuous integration tests, how to push it all onto a Vercel platform. So the first uh, 3 parts will be using ngrok to tunnel from the internet into my development server. But for the fourth part, we will go into production. We will show how to, really uh, be able to run it as a business to make money with this application or an application like this. We are not, I am not assuming that you are an engineer. That's very important. I'm presuming you're not, because this is mostly addressed toward motivated amateurs um, who have some maybe experience with vibe coding, who know what they want to do, who have a lot of energy and passion. But it also helps probably for professional software engineers to learn how to do this. But mostly, my passion personally is with those, like I said, motivated amateurs, people in the business domain, people like a doctor may who knows how to, for example, do proper diagnostics. Dr. House now creating an app that will allow a person to self-diagnose a little bit, to examine the symptoms before going to the doctor, for example. Why not? $2.99 a month, million users, and all of a sudden you're talking real money. ChatGPT is an amazing, I call it another Klondike, like Apple Store used to be when Apple phone was released, or .com era. It's another Klondike that is about to happen. It's not even yet released, the ChatGPT apps specifically. So it's access to 800 million active users on ChatGPT. Anybody can do it. I will show you. I mean, not anybody, but anybody motivated sufficiently, anybody with common sense and logical, um, some basic logical skills, um, and somebody who is willing to dedicate certain time to this effort. Anyway, enough of that. We will start with sort of what we need for this tutorial. What we will be using. We'll be using GitHub, so you need a free GitHub account. We will be using Cursor. I actually am not sure if you need a paid version. Maybe you can type in the comments if you know if you need paid Cursor to use the coding agent, or whatever they call it, the AI. You need ngrok, free count on ngrok. You need, I guess that's it. Oh, you need probably a plus membership on ChatGPT in order to be able to use developer mode and develop your applications. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I have a plus membership and it works anyway. We will start with the repo that we created as a starting point for this tutorial. It's an FindXR organization ChatVault-tutorial repo. We'll clone it. It's actually an empty repo with only two files. Oh, the README file here, but also two files containing prompts that we will be using. One containing generic prompts that are needed for you to build any widget ChatGPT app, any Skybridge widget, and specific prompts to the ChatVault application that we're building that describes the UI that we want to build. So we will clone it locally. I'm running Cursor IDE inside Windows developer laptop that has Windows Linux subsystem installed. So I'm running it within Linux within Windows here and in my home directory. And I have Git installed. Like I said, you need Git installed and you need ngrok installed on your local machine. And you need cursor installed. I guess three things. I didn't say that. Sorry, but you need to. So git clone command with that URI will get you moving. So we will need to add this folder, or we can use this button. So we can open the installed repo. And it's just like I said, it's a starting point. It has README file and it has prompts subdirectory with two markdown documents, one containing generic prompts and one containing widget specific, application specific prompts. And that's it. We will go prompt by prompt. These prompts are carefully crafted for your perusal, for your usage, but I was trying to be as generic as possible. There is a problem when you overfit something. On Wall Street, they call it curve fitting, when you basically use your past data and you uh, develop the instructions based on your past experiences, where future is unknown. So every time there'll be new problems. If you try to put too much in your prompts in terms of preventing the problems that you already encountered, you will cause new problems, because you need loose prompt, loose enough to handle anything that comes down this way. So these are on one hand carefully crafted, but on the other hand, you can change anything, you can cut corners. Be my guest. Do you feel lucky today? Basically, this is not mandatory in any shape or form, but I would suggest following what I do precisely, and then you can experiment with changing stuff. But these prompts are very useful. So they also list some engineering principle for AI to read and to internalize, because it likes to do things a certain way, and I'm trying to steer it here in a certain direction. So let's start. Enough of that. We are on almost 13 minutes into the session. Review these files. So first of all, this guy, and then this guy. We need to specify the project name, because it uses some placeholder for project name. So let's call it project name is ChatVault Part 1. Execute prompt 0. Meanwhile, I will explain what prompt 0 stands for. So basically, we're starting with 0, being professional web engineers. It clones the SDK example with the pizzas, lots of pizzas, a pizza node server, and pizza widgets. It detaches it from the remote GitHub repository, and it takes ownership, starts renaming directories, files, removing stuff that we do not need. Basically, we need this example to become our new server. I condition my AI agent to always present a plan and wait for approval. I will not even read. Approved. Proceed. I will try not to use my software development background or experience and try to cheat, basically telling the AI what to do. It is supposed to work strictly from the prompt, from common sense, and the process, the debugging process, the iteration process. The whole point here is that a non-software professional can do that. That's my mission here, is to empower you to do that even if you're not a professional, because a lot of professionals, well, there are professionals and there are professionals. There are people who call themselves coders. Those people will be gone soon. They will be replaced by agents like this, coding agents. But then there are software engineers, real engineers. The difference is understanding the design, the architecture. You're engineering a system. You're not here to code. Um, and those people will be empowered by AI agents. Well, my productivity went up 500% easily since the agentic era. It went about 300 when we got the first generation of AI assistants. And a year ago, when we switched into agents, it went up another 200%. So it did. Um, Meanwhile, from zero, it checked out the example, it renamed it, it renamed Pizza Node Server into MCP Server, did all that what I asked, and detached the original GitHub. So now we can start actually committing to our own repository when we do changes. It is a bit early for that, so let's proceed to prompt one. And prompt one is the most important here in the generic prompts. Basically, it sets the foundation for widget development. It lists all the things that it should follow, because this is still very, very raw and brittle technology by OpenAI. It's in preview. It's not released. So, you know, again, I figured out how it works, and I'm sharing this knowledge with you. But um, we have to steer it carefully in certain direction to make it work. We specify the widget tool calling format. We ask it to add debug logging to create a certain MCP server structure to handle all the things that are happening during app registration on ChatGPT, tools list, tools call, resources list, and resources get. This is actually incorrect. I see it right here. It should be resources read flow. It actually says here resources read, but there's no resources get. That was a mistake. So proceed with that plan. Yeah, whatever. We're vibing here, right? Proceed. Let's go as quickly as possible through this process, and then we'll start iterating instead of getting hung up on trying to understand everything, because that's not what vibing is all about. It's about riding the tiger, but more chaotic the process seems. If we want to reach professional results, we need to be more disciplined than maybe the professionals are in order to achieve that. That's why I'm calling it vibe engineering rather than vibe coding, because vibe engineering for me implies using Git for version control. That's very important because you need to be able to roll back. AI often screws things up. And having comprehensive, very high coverage test in place so that we can verify the requirements this way through the tests, but also keep the releases from regression free, so we can productize this and create a real continuous integration, continuous deployment process where all the tests are executed every time we add new stuff. Because with AI, you ask it to change blue color to yellow color on a button, and all of a sudden you lost a couple of features. So you need to be more disciplined from an engineering perspective to impose a certain order in order to achieve real business production result. The goal here is for you to create an application that makes a lot of money for you. Let's be open about that. This is about um, business case. This is not a toy we're creating here. So even this ChatVault application is potentially monetizable. And we will go through the exercise. Monetize doesn't mean that we will be publishing it and trying to make money, but it will be used as an illustration of a SaaS application running on ChatGPT, where you don't need software developers, you don't need DevOps, you don't need IT staff, anything. You just need to be a motivated domain expert in some area with logical thinking, and you already spent some effort learning, how to try to wipe code. You can read perhaps TypeScript. You're comfortable with JSON. That is important. You you understand this whole process of iterating, hitting a wall. Some people just hit a wall and bang their head against it. Those are not the people who will succeed. You need to step back and start generating ideas. Let's try this. Let's try this. One of them will get you over the wall. That's the secret. That's what engineers do. Because engineers know that it is possible. We just have to find what to try next. There's always something to try next. This is really important to know because engineers know that. There's never a situation where, well, there's nothing to try. Well, let's forget about what we just did. Let's do some small isolated widgets and try to make this work. If we couldn't make the big one work, we never can give up. There is nobody to call. There's no support for an engineer. Well, if it's your own product. So you start doing like hello world one-liners and making them work and then trying to understand where the problem is. But you're always working through any issues. That's so it is really important as part of this process with AI to be always in control, at least to pretend to be always in control. You're driving this bus, not AI telling you what to do. AI loves to tell you what to do. Uh, no, you have to be at least a project manager. Anybody can be a project manager if they're like arrogant enough. What else do I know about project managers? If they are confident and they'll pick up certain skills, those skills are not like real engineering skills. You can pick up project management skills in a week. Um, so you have to be the project manager. You have to tell AI what to do always. And you can ask it, give me the choices, give me the options, explain why this is better than this, explain this and explain that. But at the end, and then you can ask it to recommend the solution and explain why. But while you're going through this, you're forcing it also to be meticulous because AI loves to cut corners and deliver crap. Anyway, we did prompt one. There are some problems I see with TypeScript configuration, which is fine because prompt one is not a standalone step. Uh, prompt two will start by installing all the dependencies. So here it says that stuff is missing because we didn't install it yet. That's fine. So it's created widget foundation, MCP server structure, transport, correct transport, HTTP post instead of get. So it removed the examples are using this obsolete SSE transport, which stands for server streaming events. And it was created for browser to the server streaming, or actually the server streaming back into the browser. So the browser creates long running connection for this to work. But in the modern context, we need to think about server to server connections, and those can be, there's 100 different service instances running here and 100 different instances running there, and they can connect to a different instance every time, and it has to work. So that's what HTTP gives you is this basically this sessionless, I guess, sessionless connections. There is just, you send everything you need and you get everything you need in one shot. Anyway, we're also simplifying the example by forcing asset inlining. Basically, by assets, we're talking about HTML assets. This is JavaScript files and images. So they all will be bundled together with HTML widget. The example uses a separate static server to serve those JavaScript files, but it means having two different servers, two different and grok ports that need to be used, and all of a sudden the complexity just multiplies. We simplify it by just having one MCP server serving everything in one shot. Simplifying is really important with AI. You need to have small, simple projects, then it will work. If you can break it down, so you have 5 different small projects, and then you can recombine them. I will show you how. Project metadata, not very important. Okay, it did what I asked it to do. So let's move on. Execute prompt 3. I'm not trying, I'm not testing. Or is it prompt 2? Prompt 2, which is actually prompt 2 is installing the dependencies and preparing for ngrok, creating ngrok scripts, all the scripts that we need, etc. It's not very important, but with ngrok you don't really need it. You can just type in ngrok HTTP and the port number. But in the future, we'll be running 2 different servers for the backend and for the front end. So you need 2 ngroks, and all of a sudden you need a script. So we might as well start early, get into the habit, as they say. Um, and it does some more preparation work. Prompt 3 will deal with creating testing framework, Jest, doing end-to-end tests for the protocol, MCP protocol, for the widget as far as possible to do generically. So prompt 3 concerns with the generic testing, where after that we will implement the actual widget with its methods, its UI, and then we will go back and update the tests, expand the coverage to the specific widget with the specific MCP tools. Tools is the MCP terminology basically for a function, and OpenAI calls it, ChatGPT calls it an action now. It's all the same stuff. So those we will create the initial tests after this, and then we will create the widget, and then we will update the tests. That's the algorithm here. So it did prompt 2. It likes to summarize things. Execute, and you see the problems are gone. There are no more unresolved dependencies like I expected. Execute prompt 3. That's the test I was talking about. I may start cutting video a little bit, compressing it, but I will not be skipping steps. Everything we do will be in this video, and I will be keeping note of real time, my time, even if you don't have to wait until it goes through all those items. I will let you know how long it is in my time. I expect it to take about 2 hours, hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, 2 hours to finish this, but it looks like a lot of time, sounds like a lot of time, but it's amazing actually. It would have taken me let's say 1 week to do this 3 years ago, or 4 years ago. You have to learn, you have to play with samples, you have to learn the spec to understand it, to try something small, try something bigger, hit a wall and start figuring things out. That's a couple of days. So yeah, I'd say a week. So we're spending 2 hours instead of a week, and a week for a professional senior engineer, a person who understands design and architecture. So, and now it's 2 hours for a motivated amateur. I don't know. There's probably a better word than amateur for this, but a non-software professional lay person, I guess. It is a 30-minute mark in real time. Okay, so we're done with prompt 3, and this is a time to try it out everything, because uh, we should have enough of stuff to play with. Run build. That's the wrong directory, right? So that's the root directory. We need to be in the project, and then we can do this. It basically creates the widget, and you see it doesn't work, which I always like, because when it works first time, I'm suspicious. That's not real life. So something went wrong. We grab the error, the log, and put it back into the chat. Feed the beast. So now it runs those builds. By the way, before this session, I enabled run everything setting on those shell commands. Usually when I develop stuff, I ask it to always ask for permission to do anything. But since here we are vibing, I approved it to run tools for me. So run build, um, build succeeded. This is not high trust environment. Доверяй, но проверяй. Basically, this is a zero trust environment. You never trust AI. You always check and validate everything. And zero trust is not a bad thing. It's actually a term of art in security. It means that everything is verified. So it builds something. Okay, so now let's run test. I don't remember how to run the test. So we have to be inside this directory where we are already to build, and we're running tests right here. Okay, npm test. Nope. Feeding back into the beast. So from this exchange, I can um, infer that it actually never tried to run tests because it wouldn't work, right? So it assumed its favorite pastime, assuming things and presuming things, and engaging in all kinds of conjecture instead of trying things and reading things and searching, researching. So you see why this discipline is so important for web engineering, because without those tests, we wouldn't caught those errors. We would have tried ourselves and saw some 404 error or something else, and we would have to start figuring things out, and it would be a mess. But if you follow a certain method, an engineering method here, and you capture the requirements in tests, as test cases become your like mirrored requirements. You just sit back and enjoy yourself while the beast runs around. Test failed. Better you than me, buddy. It just caught a major potential issues. I mean, I'm sharing with you my perspective as an experienced to put it mildly software engineer, but I'm not telling the AI any of that. I don't want to be cheating and guiding it like like a software engineer. But I have no problem sharing with you what I see, and I see that it caught an error where script type module was lost when building the template, and that would have prevented it from working. It would be an ugly problem with just blank template appearing inside ChatGPT with no logging, nothing. So, um, what does it say? Basic commands. I don't want to watch. I just want to run it and see what happens. Well, good job, good job. So we're capturing all those errors and feeding in them back into the beast, where they came from. When all the tests fail, that's actually a good sign. It means it's not something, it's probably like a busy port or something like that. It's like probably one thing that causes it all. So I'm not too concerned, but I'm feeding it back. Probably I should have captured the log instead of doing it by hand. We are at a 40-minute mark for the session. So from its explanation, I think it means that the old tests were still running, that it did, and so the port was captured, was not available. That's what I thought. It needs to kill all the ports before running the test. It'll get there. They're struggling with port numbers. But I'm not giving it any hints. The whole point of this exercise is to let the AI engineer the solution based on prompts and your project management and vibe engineering skills. Just pushing it along, but not skipping any steps, um, forcing it, pushing back on some of the more ridiculous claims and forcing it to review things, to verify things, because it tends to be loose. It tends to base the conclusions on conjectures rather than following the actual code or searching the specs, examples, etc. 24 failed, 24 total. Great progress. When I was running it, it was 12 failed, 12 passed. So now it's 24 failing. I think that's clearly progress. And it keeps bumping up the port numbers. Instead of cleaning ports from 8,000 to 8,005, it now goes to 8,006. And you didn't believe me when I said that it would take a week to do this manually, even for a seasoned engineer. You would be sitting there doing this stuff. pulling your hair out, going through those iterations, making tests work. That's an easy 3-4 hour exercise. It sometimes fixates on a problem, on its interpretation of what's happening. And then you need to nudge it a little bit, like, let's step back. Let's try it another way. Are you sure you're following the prompt, for example? And that may just jiggle it, something loose in its whatever it has for the mind. So it's at least trying to run one test at a time now. Oh, it's up to port 8007. I'm waiting for it to figure out that it needs to be killing all the processes on those ports before using them, instead of going to port 8007. Yeah, you see, it is killing 8001, 2, and 3. What about 4, 5, 6, and 7? So far, I don't see it getting stuck on any one issue, so I let it run. I like the fact that we're capturing the state of the art uh, of today's code agent on December the 3rd of 2025. A year or two from now, this video will be a museum piece. We're coming up on a 15-minute mark. Let's jiggle it a little bit. force the issue. Doesn't want to submit new query. Yeah, right. Let's not provide any hints. The tests are stuck. I'm telling you, let me run the tests for you. You are getting stuck. So let's run it. Like this 8003. Oh, you see, it's not actually exiting. That's why it was getting stuck. But what was that? How did it pass all the tests? Did it? Something is weird here. Now what? Let's run it again and capture the output, including the error output. And let's open this test log. So it is already in the stuck mode. We can stop it and share it. So what about all those errors? Oh, because it has to wait for the logging to be completed. But I told it not to run the tests because it can get stuck again. But it never listens. Let's run them ourselves. Okay, and we still didn't exit, right? And what about those errors? And I like it how it tells me that everything's passed. Oh no, 13 failed. Okay. It looks like I'm doing something that is not really uh, important for us to waste time on, but it is very important. It is what makes it engineering process rather, and it's still running the test. Unbelievable. Rather than vibe coding. I told you not to run the tests. Oh boy. Oh, I'm stuck. And can we please clean up all the relevant ports? Why would we need 20 ports for this? We just need one port. Anyway, We're at a 1 hour mark, but this is important. Tests are important, believe me. This all time invested in this will come back and save us a lot of time at the back end. Okay, let's try again. "24 passed." Great. So the test passed, but didn't exit. No. Oh, they did. Fine. That's fine. A little delay is fine so that it can finish all the console logs. Okay, I'm very excited. So we did prompts 1, 2, and 3. Let's now do something. Let's please commit the ChatVault Part1 changes to Git and create a comprehensive commit message capturing what we accomplished so far. It's time to start committing the changes so that if the next prompt will start breaking things, we can always go back and roll back to the previous Git state. That's what Git is for. We will not be pushing it to the remote repository, but you see the beautiful commit message it produced. I would never be able to do that. And it didn't touch the root repo, which is fine. Actually, oh, I modified it myself. Yeah, that's fine. So we did it. We're good. You know, one more extra housekeeping step. Create a context there in a root tutorial directory and capture the current context of the project for your important future perusal. If we resume this session, I wanted to create a context for its own benefit, but interesting enough, it actually is very useful for me to maintain current documentation. I was never good at it, I'll be honest, but here we're forced to do that so that if we resume this 2 weeks from now, you want to change the color of a button, it can recreate what's in its head right now and will not hopefully break things too badly. And the side benefit is that we can use this document ourselves to keep track of what's going on, what was accomplished, and how it works. This is just beautiful. And it will be very, very comprehensive because it's doing it for itself, for its future self instance. So it's not cutting any corners here, as you notice. It is only doing that when trying to please me and get quickly to some sort of an answer. But when doing work for itself, look at it, look at this, for its future self. Next steps. I bet you it will try to capture, oh, it does it right now, architecture MD. to capture architecture, at least its own understanding, because I never shared with it part 2 or part 3 goals. But as far as part 1 architecture, everything is captured here. Great, perfect. Great. Now, let's start implementing the widget itself. Move on to prompt 4. So this is the part where a generic MCP server with a generic widget in it becomes ChatVault application. That's what prompt is all about. This is where the user defines the actual widget components and MCP actions for ChatVault. So there are 4 actions: save chat, load chats, search chat, and browse save chats. Browse save chats is the one that triggers the widget. Load chats is the one that is used internally through the Skybridge protocol by the widget to load chat. It's a paged function that returns a piece of an array, JSON array of chats. And a chat is defined here as a JSON object. Title, timestamp, so it can be sorted by time or searched by time. And turns array. And turn is a prompt plus a response. So this is JSON definition of a single chat. And it says here that load chats return, it's a page fetch. For this, for part 1 project, it's just hard coded. But part 2 will be all about making those backend functions work. It's a separate project, so AI will not be confused between 2 different concerns. And then I will show you how to combine multiple MCP servers into one. What else it's doing here? It just shows that flow chats will use internally user ID to load chats when for a real function, but don't expect it to be passed by ChatGPT. This user ID will come from somewhere else. I will show you in part 3. Where from? Also that it's important that it adapts to the dark mode and how to do it. And then it instructs it to update the tests now to provide coverage for all the new stuff that we just added. Let's see if it can build it. So this widget will require a separate build step. Well, the only build step for the project will be building this widget. That doesn't sound right. Removing remaining TypeScript type annotations. Well, I'm not gonna say anything. Better you than me, buddy. This is the part of software engineering that I don't miss. So it's the last item at its to-do list, update tests for new tool names and behavior, which is very important. Everything that I may be overselling the point that you need to have good tests, but I'm not. Better to overemphasize it than under, because I'm here to teach you the vibe engineering versus vibe coding, and this is a Very important differentiator. And we're getting all kinds of errors now. Okay, so check the test log. And it's running test on its own again. But at least now it exits the test, so I'm not worried that it will get stuck. But I'd rather do it myself, and then I get to see the test log. And this is bleak. No, that's not the word. This is opacity. Opaque. That's the word I was looking for. One failed, 23 passed. But these tests have been upgraded from generic widget to a very specific widget. So it is crucial that we didn't break anything. Obviously, we did. Without this test, the next step would be very painful. So it's time well spent. And we are at 1 hour, 13-minute mark. And the tests are passing. It tells me prompt 4 is complete. It means we have the widget. Um, moving on. I used to say thank you a lot. I guess no more. Moving on. Prompt 5. Prompt 5 is about testing it in isolation. So before we start integrating with ChatGPT, let's try it locally as a simple React component uh, in a local browser, local everything. And let's see that React part is actually working, that when we click, things open up, that it looks like a good UI. Because it's much harder to debug it inside ChatGPT, we'll have to debug too many things. The whole registration flow and then the template itself. Let's limit the number of untested things when going and interacting with ChatGPT. So it tries build. I don't know, success, I guess. Maybe not. Started generating some documents somewhere in the context, right? Yep. To capture. So I love that. I actually, normally I don't like when it does things that I didn't ask for. when doing very tight controlled engineering work. But since we're vibing here, I like that it's on the same wavelength. It keeps updating the documentation on its own without even a prompt. So I love it, actually. So is it successful? Created widget, enhanced widget, documentation. Start the widget server. So we have to be inside this. Okay. npm run serve widget. Pretty cool if it works. Okay. Let's expand this window. And then open in the browser this URL. Let's do it. How excited am I? Ooh, something. It's dark. The debug panel works. There's no data available, which is fine because there are no Skybridge protocol tools available to call the load chat. Everything looks good, and I will not give it a hard time about it being dark in a white browser. Let's do it. Except it is dark, although it is running in the light browser. Double check. Okay, I even will say please. Although Sam Altman told us not to say please or thank you, but you know, it kills a little bit of humanity every time you start barking orders and becoming rude with it. I'd rather spend an extra kilowatt of energy, but maintain my human interaction skills. So let's restart it. And let's restart it. Oh, now it's white. Everything works. Beautiful. Okay. Let's move on to ChatGPT integration attempt. I don't want to use the word test because it will confuse it, which I don't need its guidance for, actually. So we can stop this. We can build, we already built it. So we can go to MCP server and we can start, I presume, I can guess the command, pnpm start. So we have the server running on port 8000. Here's where we need to use ngrok to expose it. I know it created a script, but I'm not using it. It is as easy to just run it on the command line as it is using the script. What I do is I add a tab to my browser with this address so that I can easily copy it multiple trials. So finally, this is hour 20 of our session, of our web engineering session, and we got to play with ChatGPT. So we are in a developer mode. Let me show you how to invoke it. So if you go to, click on your name, settings, and then apps and connectors, there is the advanced settings thingy, which contains only one thing, developer mode. So we need to have it on. And then we can start um, creating applications, which is registering the MCP server using our ngrok address, and we can call it ChatVault widget. No authentication. We'll get to authentication in part 3 of the tutorial. And I was thinking about holding fingers crossed or not. No, I'm extremely confident that it will not work first time around. Oh, hold on. It worked. Wow. That's because we invested all this time and effort in tests. It would never have worked otherwise on the first try. So let's see what we have here. This is the actual output of our MCP server, and we are bundling this whole HTML template. I see. Oh no, this is tool list response, and before that, yeah, tool list I think is returning a lot of stuff anyway. Let's see if the template was uploaded. I don't see it actually. May not actually worked. I don't see the template. Oh, it just did not. It did not display it. It truncated because it contains HTML. Huh? Okay. So, but it called resources read resources. It looks beautiful. Let's try it out. So it shows that we have the actions browse, save charts with an output templates that we developed, and it has a couple of other things. And then we have load chats, which provides fake data into the test. And save chat and search chat are actually just dummies doing nothing. So we will have to connect this app to the chat and try it out. Browse saved chat. Obviously, when it's all in production and OpenAI improves things a little bit, it'll start. As long as you are in their app store, they'll start finding those, suggesting those apps to you. That's why we're here, to have access to 800 million people. Browse saved chats, but now you have to invoke those actions somehow, trigger them. You have to connect the app first. Hopefully, those things will improve. And look at this. First time, I forgot to say that I do not expect it to work. So, but it worked anyway. And this is, here we are. This is our saved chats. It's all hard coded. It's all fake data, but that's what we wanted. We have the prompt response pairs, and we can copy the complete. Actually, I will complete. And we also specify to provide the debug panel so that we can see the logging. So let's do one more iteration. We are at an hour 24 minutes. So let's say we're shooting at hour 30. We can do one more iteration. Oh, it actually already has that. Oh, it has that. Never mind. It has the expand button. That's what I wanted it to show, a complete response. We're actually perfect. Hour and 25 minutes. We have the chat browser working in production. How does it work? So collapse the prompt, collapse the prompt. Oh, we can go back. Here it is. And we can see multiple chats that are saved. We can see the timestamp, and we can see the content. Need to go back. Well, we can play with it, but this is what I want us to do for, okay, we have 5 minutes, so let's do one more thing. Let's now, everything works. Hooray. Let's commit the changes and oh, okay, let's just commit the changes. I will not be pushing it to GitHub, because first I'll need to create the on GitHub the empty repository, then connect to it, and then push it. We'll do it in part 4. But for now, we'll be happy with just committing the changes to our local repository, so that we start with a clean slate next time. So I'm talking about this project, the ChatVault Part 1 repository. It's a nested repository within the ChatVault tutorial, which we also changed, but I'm not committing that. I will commit my change later, but I don't want you to be committing it to my repository. You will not be able to do that. So here we are. It committed. Everything is great. And again, here's a review of what we achieved. We built this Skybridge widget application front end. And stay tuned. In about a week, I guess, I will release the part 2 for vibe coding using cursor, and then we'll proceed to do part 3, putting it all together, back end and front end, and turning on the SaaS functionality. I'm not telling you how. It'll be a surprise unless you're clever enough to figure it out while you're watching this video on a certain channel. How we're going to do that. And then there'll be part 4. We will move those tests that we just created into the GitHub continuous integration testing. So those tests will be automatically involved inside a container, Docker container, when we push stuff to the repository. And then we will connect Vercel for continuous deployment. So we push something, it ends up in Vercel if we're pushing in the main branch, or if we're pushing in the development branch, we will need to do the pull request, merge the development branch into production, and then it will appear in production. I will show you the whole thing end to end, because I'm assuming you never did this before, and I want to upgrade your skills. You are my people. You are the people I'm developing for, unless you're not, and you just came here and you're an experienced software engineer who came here to spy on me. But otherwise, I will show you how to do a grown-up engineering work and go into production with a moneymaker ready, a complete SaaS maintainable web engineered application. We are about to hit 1:30 mark in our 30 minutes, and I thank you for watching this. Please subscribe, please click on like, and check when the part 2 is ready. Thank you, and goodbye.
Through endless pines the cold winds weave, where silver streams and tall birch breathe. The bison roam, the eagle soar, the twilight drums in war once roared. The waters whispered soft and wide, a guiding hand the spirit's tide. No border drawn, no strangers claim, the land and sky both spoke the same. Minnesota